Have you made that special quilt for someone and want to make them something to go with it? Or do you have some young ones that love to read? I know I do. My grandchildren love books, and I've made them all 1, 2, 3 different quilts. And so today we're going to make this pocketed reading pillow for each of them. I have 4. We're going to just make one. There will be a pattern for this down in the description. It is a free pattern. It has a big pocket here, so you can put a book. You can even put like the iPad, their tablet, a coloring book, and then it's got 2 smaller pockets here that they can have like maybe a little snack or your pencils, the coloring pencils, if they're, have a coloring book. So wouldn't that be a cute little gift for somebody? Plus, I'm going to show you how simple it is to add a zip to the back of this so they can take the cover off and wash just the cover and not affect the rest of the pillow. Hi and welcome. If this is our first time meeting, I'm glad you're here. My name is Jackie and I am with Jackie Russell Creates, where we talk about everything quilting. I want to inspire you to make additional patchwork quilts, some art quilts, even some accessories to go with our quilt. No matter what the project, big or small, we'll discuss it here on Jackie Russell Creates. Now let's get started into this simple project. You don't need much to make this project. I'm actually just using some fat quarters that I had. You're going to need 1 piece that's 16 by 16. This is going to be this main back fabric. Then you're going to need another piece that's 16 by 18. So 16 by 18, we're going to fold it in half, and I like to give it a little press for that seam, and that's going to be the big pocket. And then we need another piece that is 16 by 14, and we're going to fold it in half, and I like to iron that as well and give it a little crease. And then I fold it in half and give it another crease down the center. This way I know where to sew to give me the 2 pockets. Another suggestion would be if you wanted, say, if you're giving it to an artist that they can put their drawing pad in here, you could do multiple strips down each side where they can just slip an individual pencil in, and now they have their drawing supplies to take along with them. So that's the front. And then on the back, you're going to need 2 pieces that are 16 by 9. This is going to be longer than the front, but we'll discuss that when we get there. And then you're going to need about a 14-inch zip. Mine's a little longer. I'm going to show you how to cut it down. And then you're going to need a 16-inch square pillow form. So what we're going to do first is we're going to work on the top and get that put together. So what I like to do, we're going to take these to the sewing machine and we're going to do a top stitch along both the pocket pieces. And I'm just going to do, you can do about a 1/4 or an 1/8 of an inch, just right there along the top. I'm just using white thread, but you can use coordinating thread or even a contrasting thread for each of the pockets. And now we're going to take and do the same thing for the larger pocket. Okay, now we're going to put smaller pocket on top of the large. We're going to line up the edges, and I'm going to put a few pins in there just to hold it in place. And now we're going to sew down this side. We're going to back stitch just a little bit at the top, because that's going to get a lot of strain of putting things in and out. So I like to back stitch just to reinforce that. We're going to come down to the corner and we're going to do the same thing on this side. And then we are also going to sew right down this middle where I put that crease to make me 2 pockets. I will back stitch a couple stitches up here at the top once again, because that's getting a lot of strain, getting pushed, stuff pushed in and pulled out. So I want to make sure that that's nice and enforced. I do not sew along the bottom at this stage, but you definitely can. So we're going to go sew those 3 straight stitches, and I am doing just a little under a 1/4 of an inch. So when I'm doing the center, I bring my needle down and get it in place. Make sure it's all lined up before I put my presser foot down, and then I just follow that line with the needle. Okay, now that we have our pocket together, we're going to add it to our main fabric here, lining up those edges. And I'm going to pin it again through all the thickness. Hold it in place. You know, these would be great just sitting on a couch or in a reading nook. And say, I know my grandkids like to take books outside and go read under our tree. You know, this would be a great thing for them. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to sew down the sides, across the bottom, just going across the bottom just to hold all these layers together before we add it to the back. Once again, we're going to back stitch a couple stitches just to reinforce at the top pocket and the bottom pocket on both sides. So we're going to sew down, across the bottom, and back up the side. I'm doing a 1/4 inch seam because it's going to eventually get turned in when we add it to the back. There we go. We got the top of our quilt or our pillow all done. We have 2 pockets and then 1 big pocket. Now you could quilt this main fabric if you wanted to. I think that with, you know, the pillow form is kind of thick enough, but you most definitely can quilt. You can also, instead of using a full sheet of fabric, you can do piece blocks here, as long as you know it's the length. You could do a solid strip down here and do some applique. You know, like you could put their name on here. You can put read with a design. You know, you can decorate it however you want to decorate. So now we're going to put this aside and we're going to get out our back fabric and our zip. Okay, so now we're going to do the back. We're going to take, we're going to put right sides together, and I'm just going to pin here so it hold it. We're going to take our zipper and we're going to mark some lines so we know where we're going to stitch. You're going to stitch about a 1/2 to 5/8 in. So you're just going to line your zipper up. You're going to measure. Mine was a little long. I cut off. Put just a little mark there. Just that way I know where I'm changing my stitch length. So we're going to stitch from the end to that line with the regular stitch. And then we're going to make a long stitch. I'm just going to up my length and as big as my machine will go. So the center part, I'm going to stitch from this line back to here to normal stitch length. Then I'm going to press it open on the seam. Okay, so I got it pressed open. And now what we're going to do is we're going to attach. Okay, so here we are with different fabric because my camera decided to quit recording right as I was telling you how to piece the back together. So the nice thing is with having 4 grandchildren, I can be able to do it again. Now I have the seam pressed open, so I have a place for the seam to go on, or the zipper. So now what I'm going to do, I like to spray base. You can use the Elmer's glue stick method, or you know, any way you want to be able to hold it down. I don't recommend pins just because it does get a little bulky with the zipper. So I'm just going to spray base, and I'm just going to go right down that seam. I'm going to flip my zipper over. I'm going to line up those markings, making sure that the zipper teeth are down the center of the seam. And just kind of use my fingers to kind of press it down and guide it. Then up here I just kind of bring the teeth in so they're touching and push it down. Now we're going to go to the sewing machine and we're going to stitch it. You can stitch it this way so you can see what you're stitching, or you can stitch it from the top because that is the finished edge and that will give you, either way works. I'm going to stitch it down this way so I can see to get my teeth, my presser foot right up to the teeth. I'm using my 1/4 inch presser foot. I'm not using a zipper foot. I'm going to, when I'm at each end, I'm going to stitch a couple times back and forth over the ends just to give it extra stability on that zipper because you are putting a lot of pressure and restraint right on each end. And then when I get to the zipper pull, because I left it unzipped a little ways, I'm able to get in there, pull the zipper out of the way, pass the zipper foot or presser foot, and be able to get going again. Okay, so now we have our zipper zipped in, stitched in. We're going to take our seam ripper and very carefully from the ends, we're going to remove that long basting stitches we did. Be careful not to rip the fabric. And if you have like the little strings, you can always come in and use a lint roller to remove them. So there we go. There is our zipper. Now that we have it all stitched together, I'm going to just take my straight edge and trim off any of the excess that we had left because we cut the bottom fabric bigger. And then I'm just going to take my scissors. We're going to trim the corner. Just don't trim into your stitches. This just will help with all that bulk. And then we're just going to turn it. I just make sure I get all those corners poked through. Down here at the bottom where there's a lot more bulk, you may need to use a pointer. But I just stick my finger up in there. If it still feels too bulky, like this one still feels a little bulky, I may trim a little down the sides to also help with that bulk. And so there is the pocket pillow. And to put it in a pillow form, I just kind of take my pillow form and fold it in half a little bit and then just push it up in there. Do a little, squishing. And if you want to add a little fluff into each corner, you can. But I don't want, more stuff for the parents to have to worry about. I just want to be able to pull the form out, wash it, and put it back on. And zip it up. And there's a cute little pocket. Be able to put a book in here for them to read, some snacks, and now they have a cute little pillow to use when they're having their reading time. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial on how to make this double pocket zippered pillow to be able to use for your reading or just about anything. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up and comment below what you would put in these additional pockets if you don't want to use it for a reading pillow. If you like this tutorial and you want to stick around and you haven't done so already, please subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you know the next time that I post a video. Until then, happy quilting, my friends.